Let's bring in Jim McMahon, a Minister in the Department for Levelling Up Housing and Communities. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
How's it feeling being in government?
Well, obviously, it feels like a bit of a blur from the election, but after 14 years out in the shadows, it's fantastic now to have the chance to kind of bring back politics to public service. So excited.
All your responsibility now, though, isn't it? Will the government build on green sites?
Well, we're obviously going to review now the National Policy Framework. We're determined to build 1.5 million new homes, but we're also very clear that there are so many sites that are completely untapped potential in many urban constituencies. These are brownfield sites, these are very dirty industrial sites that just haven't been developed over decades, where local people would be absolutely keen to see those developed. And so we want to make sure that that is first. We also want to separate out what we mean by the green belt. People will have a view of the rolling countryside of England, but actually, if you look at the map where the green belt is, in some cases, the green belt actually is a grey belt. And local people would say it's an eyesore that they want to see developed. The other thing I would say is that local people recognise that in terms of access to housing, people just can't get on the housing ladder. Older people that want to downsize can't get a house that's appropriate in the communities where they have lived all of their lives. There are far too many people in temporary accommodation, so we need good social homes for rent that are affordable to people as well. In my own constituency, we have the scandal where there are 500 children living in temporary hotel accommodation. Whole families living in single rooms because we haven't got the housing supply to meet that demand. And so this is a national emergency and we're absolutely keen and determined to get on with it.
And in answer to my question?
Well, the question was about the green belt and whether we're going to build, and we're saying we need to separate out the rolling hills, and we absolutely want to maintain the beauty of England, and we want to maintain a good environment and nature. But we also need to separate out what we mean by...
what your definition of green belt is that what you're saying?
Well, the green belt, and people will see it in every community across the country, where there's land that notionally will be allocated for green belt, but actually to the eye, and certainly not the rolling hills of England, they are sites that the community would want to see developed. The other thing I would say is that in every community...
They would never be classed as green belt, would they?
Well, they will be, actually, yeah. I mean, if you are at the edge of an urban community into the countryside, you will see those fringe sites in many places.
What you're describing there is post-industrial types.
Yeah,
I'm not asking about those. I'm asking about what people would class as green belt.
Well, there's two issues. What people would perceive as a green belt. A lot of the farming fields of England that you see on the train ride across.
Perception and reality. It got a minister in a lot of trouble when we were talking about that.
Well, the reason why this is important is if you think about the train ride from London up to the beautiful north of England and all the green countryside that you'll see, most of that will not be the green belt. But that is what people would value as the English countryside that people love. Well, that isn't the green belt.
But are you happy to build on that?
Well, no, we're saying we're not building on the rolling hills of England. We're talking about the sites that are classified as green belt, but to the eye are not the rolling countrysides of England. They are sites that we would say are the grey belt.
So you are building on green belt?
Well, we're going to review the National Policy Framework. We want to build in the communities where people live. We need to stop this now.
You just said you are going to build on some green belt, but it depends on what your classification of green belt is, but you will be doing that.
And of course, we'll be working with local authorities for them to identify, because they know their communities best. They know the local community, they know the local landscape, they will know the housing need, and this will be done in partnership. But we need to come back to why we're building houses is because people need somewhere to live and they deserve somewhere to live.
I understand that.
And so there will be choices to make, and we are absolutely clear. If it's a choice, I'll be honest, if the choice is in a town like Oldham, do I want 500 children to live in temporary hotel accommodation, or would I sooner build on something that is notionally green belt, but actually to the eye is grey post-industrial? Get building.
Under what timescale will you be building 1.5 million properties?
Well, 1.5 million over the life of this Parliament, so the foundational work is taking place now. We're only less than a week in, and you'd expect that those conversations are being advanced. And of course,
doing the maths, that's 300,000 a year.
Well, how that is profiled will work through, but you'll see today in Downing Street, our metro mayors are coming from around the country to meet with the Prime Minister, to meet with the Deputy Prime Minister, to talk about how we can work together to really rally this up.
I understand that. I just wonder how you're going to achieve that, given that that's what the previous government said and they didn't hit their targets.
Well, the government completely scrapped their target because what they weren't willing to do was one...
But what are you going to do to make sure that you hit your targets?
Yeah, well, first of all, we need to unlock sites that currently have planning permission but aren't being developed. So it's working with developers to bring those to market and get them built on. Secondly, it's about making sure that we address the issue of brownfield sites, these dirty post-industrial sites, the old factory sites, the old mill sites, in many places that are blight on the community, that community want to see developed, but developers just aren't interested in at the moment. We need to work together to get a programme of building that sees those sites brought to market.
How are you going to make them interested?
Well, it's happening now, actually. If you look in Greater Manchester, the combined authority under the Mayor, Andy Burnham, and the local councils are working together to marry land up. So land that might be in more attractive areas for developers and land that might be more expensive to develop because it is post-industrial, it has contamination and other issues. They will marry those sites together to bring them to market. So overall, the developments wash their face and they're good for the community.
Okay.
So it can be done, it is being done, and we want to do more of it.
OK, onshore wind, where are we with that? Discounted energy to local communities near wind farms as a sweetener, perhaps?
Well, I think Labour and now the government's position on GB Energy is one of the most ambitious that we've certainly seen in my lifetime, but we're likely to see. When we talk about GB Energy, we're talking about a of course, publicly owned company, but with people having a skin in the game, and I think that's really important. I think people.
So that is a sweetener for people who live nearby.
But it's for everybody to be able to benefit from that. You know, nearly 1 million new owners of community energy in this country. Local authorities being able to be part of that. But I'm talking about onshore wind, because a lot of people don't want to live next to onshore wind farms, do they? Well, that will be part of the deal, won't it? Essentially, people
That's
will
what I'm
see.
asking you,
People will
what
see
you're
the
going to
benefit.
do in order to benefit.
I think certainly during the cost of living crisis and what people are seeing with their energy bills, people recognise, first of all, we can't constantly be being exposed to the global shocks, and we're seeing that with Putin's war in Ukraine and what that did to the energy markets. But also that we need more sustainable sources of energy that are affordable and sustainable
I'm asking,
as well.
what are you going to do to try to make people more accepting of living next to an onshore wind farm?
Well, we won't get into kind of particular sites, but as a principle, I think people are more open than ever before about the need for this, and people will embrace it. People understand the need for affordable bills, for community ownership really making a difference, and also, frankly, for the energy security that the government previously failed to secure.
I need to ask you about two more things, and we don't have a lot of time left, so forgive me. One of them is whether you'd like to see HS2 reinstated.
Well, wouldn't we all like to have done a lot of the decisions of the last 14 years and wish it never happened?
Would you like HS2 to be
But the reality
reinstated?
is, well, I want to see substantial investment in transport for this country.
Do you want to see HS2 reinstated?
I'm not convinced with what we've been left that HS2, in the way that it was framed, is possible or not. There will be reviews taking place about transport infrastructure. I won't preempt any of those reviews, but I will, of course, be making the case for the north of England to get its fair share of transport investment. You know, when we think about even lines like Manchester to Liverpool, where they could really unlock a lot of our economic and social potential, we haven't seen the investment in the last 14 years to unlock that.
Darren Jones said yesterday, Treasury, number 2, that it's something that will be looked at. You welcome that?
Well, this will all be looked at. We can't preempt any of those reviews, but we need to be absolutely clear that the north of England and other parts of the country will be around the table. They're here in Downing Street today with the Prime Minister.
And we're going to talk to them in just a moment, or actually once they finish their chat with the PM. Final thought is about junior doctors. Wes Streeting says there's no more money, but he's going to meet them. What can this government do to try to convince junior doctors not to be on strike anymore when you don't have any more money than the previous government?
Well, I mean, first of all, I think tone matters. In any negotiation, having good faith at the start of a negotiation can make the world of a difference in getting people to a solution. I'm not going to preempt what is going to come through those negotiations. We can't conduct that in a studio. But I have absolute confidence that Wes and the junior doctors' representations will find the right answer, because all of us have seen what the impact has been to the NHS of COVID and trying to recover from that, and also many, many years of underinvestment. And I think what all of us want to see, of course, is the junior doctor strike resolved. But frankly, we need to fix the NHS from the ground up. And that's primary care, it's community care, it's social
doctors
care,
back to work.
And it's acute care as well, and fixing the whole system. And, you know, less than a week in, I'm pleased with the progress we're making, but we, of course, need to see that through.
What's your badge?
Oh, this is the Cooperative Party. So I'm proud to be the chair of the Cooperative Party, which is Labour's sister party for nearly 100 years.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I've never seen that.
It's also the Manchester Bee. Many people think it's the Manchester
Bee. I saw the Manchester Bee. That's what I thought you were going to say, Manchester Bee being from Weldon. But OK, got it. I'll know in future. It's good to see you.
Thank you.
Every day's a school day. Thank you.